Shabbat Shalom Nishmaka, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Jeremy Beaton, Chief Rabbi. We are reading today from the book of Yakov, but first I just want to let you all understand that we are reading from the Hidden Truths Hebraic Study Scriptures, New Testament, New Covenant, by Rabbi Simon Altaf. Okay, and I think it's quite important for us to read the New Testament at the moment because, a lot of people, obviously, in the churches, have been misled by a lot of these authors or so-called teachers of Christianity who have basically downplayed the Torah itself and have misled a lot of Christians into believing that the Torah, the first 5 books, and the commandments of the Abba do not matter. So by reading the New Testament, we can actually point out who were responsible for these errors, and that those Christians who are actually trying to return will have an understanding of where the errors came from, and that they, like the prodigal son, will be able to return knowing the real truth that Christianity, was misleading them from day one. So, without further ado, we shall be reading from the book of Yakov. But first, Rabbi Simon has written us a little note, so let's have a look at this. So Luther wrote about this epistle that I do not regard it as the writing of the apostle. His opinion was that it's anti-Pauline. Yakov was the cousin of Yahushua. Luther also called this epistle an epistle full of straw. One can understand why, as it directs you to Torah obedience. And Luther did not appreciate the obeying of Torah, but taught a foolish grace devoid of works of the Torah and its covenants, without which any of these writings do not hold any value. If you would like to believe Gentile writers as Luther, then that is that. Yakov was a brown Israelite, as were the others in the 1st century, before their ethnicity was wiped clean by making them all appear ethnically Caucasian. A gross distortion of our people, both of the Catholics and Christians. Rabbi Simon Altaf, Hakoin, Beth Zadok. So we have here Yakov, the brother stroke cousin of Yahushua. Yakov, Jacob, Ben Clopas, known as James in the English world. 2. The 12 tribes of Israel in the dispersion. Chapter 1. 1. Yakov, a servant of Elohim and of the Master Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. 2. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. 3. Knowing this, that the testing of your faith produces endurance. 4. But let endurance have its complete effect, that you may be complete, and complete, deficient in nothing. 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, that gives to all men liberally, and without reproach, and it shall be given to him. 6. But let him ask in faith, not doubting. For the doubt is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. 7. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Master. 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. 9. Let the lowly brother rejoice in that he is exalted. 10. But the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. 11. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withered the grass, and its flower fell, and its pretty appearance perished. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. 12. Beneficial will be the man that endures trials, for when he has been proved, he shall receive the crown of life, which Elohim has promised to them that love him. 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempts he any man. 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. 15. Then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. 16. Do not err, my beloved brethren. 17. Every good gift and every complete gift is from above, and comes down from the Av of lights, which whom there is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. 18. Of his own will he begot us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. 19. Therefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. 20. For the wrath of man works not the righteousness of Elohim. 21. Therefore put away all filth and evil excess, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to rescue your souls. 22. And be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. 23. For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like to a man beholding his natural face in a mirror. 24. For he beholds himself and goes his way, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was. 25. But whoever looks into the complete Torah of liberty, and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. 26. If any man among you seems to be religious, and does not control his tongue, but deceives his own heart by not doing so, this man's religion is vain. 27. Pure religion and undefiled before Elohim and the Av is this: to visit the orphans and widows in their affliction, and to guard oneself unspotted from the world. So that now brings us to the end of the first chapter of Yakov. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes. So the first footnote we have two footnotes, is in verse 1. So the first one we have is Yakov, which is number 1, and a servant of Elohim, which is also a footnote, which is number 1. So let's read the first one, which is Yakov. So concerning the martyrdom of Yakov, the brother of Yahushua, from the book Josephus, Yakov, Rabbi Yahushua's brother, succeeds to the government of the community in conjunction with the Shakilim apostles. He has been universally called the Zadik, righteous, from the days of the first temple down to the present time. For many bore the name of Yakov, but this one was devoted from his mother's womb. He drank no wine or other intoxicating liquor, nor did he eat flesh. No razor came upon his head. He did not anoint himself with oil, nor make use of the bath. He alone was permitted to enter the set-apart place, for he did not wear any woolen garment, but fine linen only. He alone, I say, was to go into the temple, and he used to be found kneeling on his knees, begging forgiveness for the people, so that the skin of his knees became calloused, like that of a camel's, by reason of his constantly bending the knee in adoration to God, and begging for forgiveness for the people. Therefore, in consequence of his preeminent righteousness, He was called the Jacob, the just, and the oblious, which signifies in Greek defense of the people and justice, in accordance with what the prophets declared concerning him. Now some persons belonging to the seven sects existing among the people, which have been before described in the notes, asked him, "What is the door of Yahushua?" And he replied that he was the Saviour. In consequence of this answer, some believe that Yeshua is the Anointed One. But the sects before mentioned did not believe, neither in a resurrection or in the coming of one to reward every man according to his works. But those who did believe because of Yakov. So when many even of the ruling class believed, there was a commotion among the Jews and scholars and Pharisees who said, "A little more, and we shall have all the people looking for Yeshua as the Anointed One." They came therefore in a body to Yakov and said, "We request that you restrain the people, for they are gone astray in their opinions about Yeshua, as if he were the Anointed One. We request that you persuade all who have come together for the day of the Passover concerning Yeshua. For we all listen to your persuasion, since we, as well as all the people, bear true report that you are righteous, and show partiality to no one. Will you therefore persuade the people not to entertain erroneous opinions concerning Yeshua? For all the people, and we also, listen to your persuasion. Take your stand then upon the summit of the temple, that from that elevated spot you may be clearly seen, and your words may be plainly audible to all the people. For in order to attend the Passover, all the tribes have congregated, and some of the Gentiles also. The aforesaid scholars and Pharisees accordingly set Yakov on the summit of the temple, and cried aloud to him, and said, "O righteous one, whom we are all bound to obey, forasmuch as the people are in error, and follow Yeshua, the crucified, do tell us what is the door of Yeshua, the crucified." And he answered with a loud voice, "Why do you ask me about Yeshua, the Son of Man? He himself sits in heaven, at the right hand of the great power, and shall come on the clouds of heaven." And when many were fully convinced by these words, and offered praise for the true report of Yakov, and said, "Hosanna to the Son of David," then again the said Pharisees and scholars said to one another, "We have not done well in procuring this true report to Yeshua. But let us go up and throw him down, that they may be afraid and not believe him." And they cried aloud and said, "Oh, the righteous man himself is in error." Thus they fulfilled the scripture written in Yeshayahu, Isaiah, "Let us away with the righteous man, because he is troublesome to us. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their doings." So they went up and threw down the righteous man, and said to one another, "Let us stone Yakov, the just." And they began to stone him, for he was not killed by the fall. But he turned and kneeled down and said, "I beg you, Yahweh, God our Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And while they were stoning him to death, one of the priests, the sons of Rechab, the son of Rechabim, to whom true report is given by Jeremiah, the prophet, began to cry aloud, saying, "Stop what you are doing. The righteous man is praying for us." But one among them, of the fullers, took the staff with which he was accustomed to wringing out the garments he dyed, and hurled it at the head of the righteous man. And so he suffered martyrdom, and they buried him on the spot. and the pillar erected to his memory still remains close by the temple. This man was a true witness to both Jews and Greeks that Yeshua is the Anointed One. And shortly after, Vespasian besieged Judea, taking them captive. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is a continuation from Yakov, a servant of Elohim. So let's have a look at this, servant of Elohim. So we have here, Yakov was also the high priest in the temple after the death of Yeshua. Okay, so Yakov was also the high priest in the temple after the death of Yeshua. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. But the rich, in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. Okay, so let's have a look at this. And it reads, if your wealth is not used for the kingdom of Yahweh, what lasting mark will it have in your life or anyone else's? Okay, let's read that again. If your wealth is not used for the kingdom of Yahweh, what lasting mark will it have in your life or anyone else's? Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 12. Beneficial will be the man that endures trials, for when he has been proved, he shall receive the crown of life, which Elohim has promised to them that love him. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The crown of life, which Elohim, let's have a look at this. So the manuscript's reading is Elohim. Okay, the manuscript's reading is Elohim. So we have a continuation, which Elohim has promised to them that love him. Okay, so to them that love him. So let's have a look at this. So love is a Hebrew action word, an idiom to keep Torah. Okay, so love is a Hebrew action word, an idiom to keep Torah, meaning keeping the commandments. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 17. So every good gift and every complete gift. So let's have a look at this. Every good gift and every complete gift. So Yahweh gives his people good gifts. The Torah is a beautiful gift. Okay, let's read that again. Yahweh gives his people good gifts. The Torah is a beautiful gift. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 18. Of his own will he begot us with the word of truth. Okay, let's have a look at this. With the word of truth. So idiom for Torah, Psalms 119:43. Okay, so have a look at Psalms 119:43. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 21. Therefore put away all filth and evil excess, and receive with meekness the implanted word. Okay, so let's have a look at this implanted word. So Torah seed that will become a tree if you nurture it. Okay, a Torah tree or Torah seed that will become a tree if you nurture it. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 22. And be ye doers of the word. So let's have a look at this. So the word is idiomatic for Torah obedience. The word is idiomatic for Torah obedience. Okay, and we have a continuation. And not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. Okay, deceiving your own selves. Let's have a look at this. So sadly, many in churches even refuse to hear the words of the Torah and are just clanging cymbals. Let's read that again. Sadly, many in churches even refuse to hear the words of the Torah and are just clanging cymbals. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 25. But whoever looks into the complete Torah of liberty and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer. Okay, let's have a look at this. Forgetful hearer. I'll be willing to accept that Yakov, the Nasi of Jerusalem, had concluded that we must obey Torah. This is what brings increases in our life, and not singing 3 hymns and abrogating the Torah. Okay? So are we willing to accept that Yakov, the Nasi of Jerusalem, had concluded that we must obey Torah? This is what brings increases in our lives, and not singing 3 hymns and abrogating the Torah. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 26. If any man among you seems to be religious and does not control his tongue, but deceives his own heart by not doing so, this man's religion is vain. Okay, let's have a look at this. This man's religion is vain. So we have here, there are people in and out of assemblies who slander other people, and Yakov warns against this kind of behavior. Professing to be obeying a faith, but backbiting your brethren or friends is the worst kind of hypocrisy and sin that you will have to answer to, or answer for one day. It will not just go away, and the evil that has been done by slander will remain to be answered for on the day of judgment. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 27. Pure religion and undefiled before Elohim and the Av is this: to visit the orphans and widows in their affliction, and to guard oneself unspotted from the world. Okay, let's have a look at this, unspotted from the world. Yakov is doing a sum up of Torah like the prophets. One would only help the orphans and widows if they had mercy in their heart. So he is really saying to be merciful is to keep Torah. We know some people are running orphanages for just making money. This happens in the East, especially a noted country is India, where many people only start orphanages to usurp money from the Western congregations. Be warned of such people and their practices. They who use children to do this will be severely judged and put out of the kingdom. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of the first chapter of Yakov. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton, Chief Rabbi, saying thank you for watching and Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Le'olam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.